Hello everyone and welcome to episode 18 of the Gridslot Gavra Racing podcast. You are joined by Tucson028, myself,
me, Assassin,
and me, X90G.
And I went back to a normal intro this time so as not to confuse these two. Also, if I've done everything correctly, you should have heard a nice sort of intro music there provided to us by Carl H. Lovely stuff, great stuff. Tiger has hopefully got his computer working, so we'll be able to have that up on stream for you next week. But anyway, on this week's podcast, we're not talking about the stuff that has happened this week. We're talking about stuff that's happened last week. So that's everything from Silverstone in the F1 League. Same as last week, we're going to be taking you through a quick review of each race and then driver by driver going through the entire grid. So everybody gets a mention and gets talked about, and hopefully everyone will be happy. Anyway, before we dive into the F1 stuff, we've got to get our iRacing and Project Cars 2 groove on, as I like to call it. But so for the Escort Cup Race 6 in Sonoma, the short track over in America, we've got ESR Chef, who took the pole, Jojo Power in second, and Solo Solita in third. Solo Solita actually dropped, I think, to sixth position by the end of the race, with ESR Chef maintaining that pole and taking the win. Jojo Power converting as another second place into second in the another second place, essentially. And Gure 69 would round off the podium in the championship. What that means is that ESR Chef is still leading the way, has taken every single win so far this season. Jojo Power has taken all 3 second places in the most recent leg, and Hello Champs is actually bringing up your top 3 there, despite only having 1 podium across both legs. Just goes to show how competitive things are over there. In the Master Series, which is again at round 6 in Donington Park, we had Javier Ranz taking the pole by nearly 2 seconds, which is ridiculous. The guy never slows down. And he also took the win in the race by almost a minute from Dalaban in second, and the Aguilera there rounding out the podium in the championship. Then Javier Ranz taking all 3 poles and wins from this leg of the journey, with Faster A14 in second place. But a disappointing run for Faster this last race. 2 second places followed up by 4th position there. Aguilera as well in third, bringing up the podium with 1 podium so far in this leg and 2 podiums overall with 2 wins. So that is Project Cars 2. Didn't see any iRacing stuff, but I'm sure Sig will keep us abreast of any events that are happening over in the world of iRacing. But what that does allow us to do is dive straight in to Formula One. Everything's at round 6 this week, apart from the Superleague, which is on round 7. But anyway, Academy round 6 in Silverstone. So you had our top 3, Mr. Schumacher, Aston, and Rick Holt on the grid, but with a surprise addition of Jutsu Kev. Natty, how surprised were you to see Jutsu Kev on the Academy grid? I don't think me and Tiger quite understood it up in the commentary box.
Yeah, Jutsu Kev. I'm not sure why or how he was in the Academy, but it's good to see he's competing in many different leagues and is able to show off his ability.
Oh, yeah, certainly. So Jutsu Kev actually stuck his car second on the grid behind Mr. Schumacher, who laid down the gauntlet of a 1 minute 24.8 to beat for qualifying time for the pole time in the Academy. But Mr. Schumacher, who started on pole, as I just said, with Jutsu Kev in second and Aston F1 in third, 0.3 seconds separating the top 3. So anyway, to lap 1, JMB Surreal spinning around at the back of the pack. Schumacher keeping his lead with a move around the outside at Brooklands, which is obviously great to see. As Schumacher, Rick Holt, and Aston all looking on to better things in the Academy. And I'm sure, or even this week and last week, we had outings from some Academy drivers in the Premier, Freshman, and Super Leagues, and they all did very, very well. Good battle for P6 as well. Cash and Stengel and Geek 3. Oh, actually, Cash and Stengel, Geek Fusion, and F1 Lover 3 wide into Maggots, Peckus, and Chapel, which was like, I think Tiger, me and you both just like lost our collective stuff there.
Who shot out then?
Yeah, exactly. Then Rick Holt unfortunately picked up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, something that would affect a lot of drivers at Silverstone, including one on the podcast at the moment. That happened on lap 7. Aston blasted past Rick Holt into third after coming out, I think, a couple of laps later on a fresher set of tyres. Mr. Schumacher then would go on to win the race with Aston in second and Chutsikov behind in third. Rick Holt falls to fourth position in the end, potentially putting his championship chances at risk. Freshman round 6 in Silverstone, so no fancy stuff for fancy geography stuff even from me this evening at time of recording. I don't know when you're listening to it, but yeah, RC8 then would take the pole with Absolute in second and Saba the Mister in third. It would be a race full of incident. Me and ex-Natty in the commentary box, Tiger actually on the track, but only lasted 3 corners, but we'll get on to that in a minute. I think, but so same as last week, guys. Grades ranging from A star to G for all of our drivers competing across the board in F1. So first up, we have Williams, Bates, and Albagref qualified in 9th and 19th, finished race in 9th and a DNF. We'll get on to Bates in a second. Albagref drove into the wrong pit lane, so I think that's no comment. Tiger.
How? Like what? Just like how?
Yeah. So Tiger saying how. So what is that, like a swift G then?
Yeah.
I mean that pit lane has been closed for what? How long now?
8 years.
Yeah, nah, that's straight G.
All right, so that's a straight G then.
Sorry, but it's just a straight G.
What about Bates? Qualified 9th, finished 9th.
Pretty average race. Had a fair few battles though.
Yeah, did he have any battles or anything during the race?
A couple of like side by side moments, but not much.
Weren't we giving everybody a D at that point in terms of just an average race?
I don't think an average race deserves a D. I'd say like a C.
Yeah.
I'd say a C. Actually, I'd actually be tempted to go for a B because like the way things are in the freshman league, to qualify and then finish where you started probably isn't the worst feat.
You have a point, but I still think a C is applied.
All right, okay, we'll go for a C for Bates. Haas, Tiger, you, because you had 3 corners of racing.
Pretty much, yeah. I'll take that. But quali was good though. Like
quali was very good.
Yeah, I had like a decent quali, and then I just got flipped upside down by a racing point.
Yeah. Robert, on the other hand, started in 14th, finished in 14th. Had a fairly quiet race, very off the radar again to P14. But I can't help but feel that would have been lower if not down to the crashes and retirements of other people. But I guess you got to keep it clean. And I mean, we gave Bates a C, maybe a D for Robert because he hasn't scored points.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I can back a D.
Yeah, right. Back a D. There we go.
A D.
Triple O and Alex Gunnar Mack, your Mercedes drivers, qualified in 8th and 18th, finished the race with a double DNF. I'll explain. Okay, so Alex is actually up into the points after the first safety car by lap 13. I'm sorry, by lap 7 even, but lap 13 he just went out on the safety car. Like we didn't catch it on stream or anything. Like me and Natty both hadn't noticed, but Alex, he just slipped out of existence seemingly, and yeah. So I have absolutely no idea what happened.
He did a natty, really?
Sort of, but he just kind of, his dot was just off track.
Ah. So he did a George Russell?
A little bit.
I mean, what, they both got DNFs?
Yeah. Oh, Triple O. Triplo's is a bit different. He was caught up in like a massive crash on like lap 20 or 21.
Huge crash.
Like it was huge. If you've ever seen the opening of Cars, like the first Cars film, it was literally like that. It was like a scene from World War One. There was just cars everywhere.
Well, I would give. Well, G's the lowest in it, so it's like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm tempted to even give an E or an F.
I think an E is fair. Right, so
yeah,
because the quality was all right, and then they'd actually ran most of the race in really good positions until suddenly big crashes happened.
I think I'm gonna go for I think for Triple O a D, just because it wasn't really his fault.
yeah.
I had nowhere to go.
Yeah, but you rated me in a U, and it wasn't my fault that I ended up upside down.
Yeah,
so
but unlike you, he raced for 20 laps.
Okay, fair enough.
Right then, racing point. Tunchery and Ellison never far from the controversy. These two seemingly. Ellison. I'll let Tiger talk about this. Actually, no, I won't let Tiger talk about this.
No, G, away. Away. G. Sorry, Ellison, but a G. You put my car upside down in a wall, right? Okay? If that was real F1, I could have died. I could have killed her and died. But no, you put me in a wall, and I was out the race, and it annoyed me. So G.
Okay, Nico Hulkenberg. Natty.
Yeah, despite that incident, though, he was showing some decent pace in the second half of the race.
G.
Yeah, I feel like he was showing flashes of pace, but still finished behind his teammate and out the points. So for me, it's an F.
F? You put me in a life-threatening situation.
Oh,
I died.
You were using... No, you couldn't have died.
My hat was upside down. It's not where it's supposed to be.
Hey, you're not actually a Formula One driver, though, are you?
But still, that shows the extensiveness of the crash. Fine, give him an F all you like.
I feel bad now, Natty.
I think based on the execution of the crash, I think it deserves an A-star now.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about in terms of swipeability, that is like A-star swipeability.
Yeah, funny, yeah, yeah, great one. That's one, guys.
Fine, just to make, we'll put it as a G.
Give him an F. Go on, I'll back an F. Go on, give him an F.
Moving on to Tunchery, fell back after the lap 1 safety car, I believe, came into the pit lane, but actually did really well to avoid lap 20 incident, but just missed out on points due to penalties. For me, a C.
Where did he qualify?
Qualified 11th and finished the race in 11th, but would have finished in the points without the penalties. But I guess the penalties were his fault, so a C or a D.
I come back at. Oh, I'm not sure. Did he finish inside the points?
No, just outside because of penalties. 11th place.
I'd say D.
D.
I'd say D.
I think if he'd have finished in the points without those penalties, maybe a C, but
alright.
Because of the penalties, maybe a D.
Going with the general consensus. So, Renault had a very good race, actually. Daza and Vinja. Daza qualifying in 13th, finishing up in 7th. Vinja being out-qualified by his teammate for one of the few times this season. Managed to finish the race in 4th position, gaining 10 places from his grid stop. But both drivers had really strong performances, avoiding crashes, staying out of trouble, and probably gave them their best points haul of the season. I'm tempted to go for an A for Vinja and a B for Daza, purely because Vinja's made up more places.
Yeah.
I can back that, yeah.
All right, there we go. So Vinja A, Daza B. Now, McLaren, Ted and Brizzy. Ted was a replacement driver in Silverstone.
He did very well.
He did do very well.
I was speaking to him for the entire 3 laps that I was racing.
3 corners, don't big yourself up.
3 corners, sorry, yeah. 3 corners is what I meant.
So Ted doing excellently well to out-qualify and out-race his more experienced teammate. Don't forget, Brizzy's had 2 seasons now of Gavra, so Ted did really, really well there in the freshman, as well as finish on the podium, actually, following a post-race review of penalties. A really, really, really good performance. I'm tempted to go for an A-star.
I'd give him an A-star. He did really well. Especially the performance was deserved after he's had such a tough time in the academy. I think it's because I personally think that quite a lot of the academy lot are actually somewhat either on the same pace or quicker than some of those freshmen lot. Not saying Ted's slow, but I think that's what helped him out a little bit in terms of I think he's fighting a battle which maybe he shouldn't be in the academy, whereas in the freshman he was a little bit more inside his inside of his comfort zone, let's say.
Yeah, certainly. And Brizzy, just because Ted had an excellent race, didn't mean Brizzy didn't have a good one. He had a very good race, actually. Fighting past other cars in the opening stages, running in 5th at one point, but unfortunately dropping behind after coming into the pits under the final safety car, not having enough time to remake up those positions. So for Brizzy, I'm tempted to go for a B. Solid performance, but probably not as good as his teammate.
Yeah, B.
Right,
B's good.
Moving on then to Ferrari. Now, when I watched this race back a couple days ago, my heart sank when I saw what had happened to the Ferraris in that race. Especially Saba the Mister, qualified in 3rd, finished the race down in 10th, I believe. I don't know where to begin. So Sabo was put down the grid after pissing under the second safety car, came back through almost the entirety of the field, and then spun at cops, like near the end of the race. And I could not believe it. I could not believe it. But yeah, finished down in 10th, I think, just staying inside the points. Infamela then ran in 4th after the safety car, but had nowhere to go when Victor's AlphaTauri spun round at turn 2 and wiped out about half the field. So it's the problem with this is it was Sabo's own mistake, so there wasn't anyone else around him. But up to that point, he was having an incredible race.
Where was he running before he crashed? Was he like in 3rd? Did you say?
Yeah, he was in 3rd.
3rd, yeah.
He made his way back up to 3rd. And I think it was 2nd, actually, when he spun out.
2nd?
Yeah.
I mean, you could give him like a B or a C, just based on the performance up until that point. But I would have, obviously, we would have given him like an A or an A-star. But he's made his own mistake. He's put himself in that position. So I'd drop him down to somewhere like a C or a B, maybe.
I'll go for a C.
Yeah.
C?
And then Infamela. After the safety car, was in 4th, so had played the strategy well, but yeah, that massive crash wasn't his fault at all. But
he was just involved in it.
Yeah, I think it's pair of C's. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be reluctant to drop him down for a D because I still have that grudge against him for taking out all those braking boards in Abu Dhabi last season. But no, we can carry on with a C.
Even I'm not angry about that, and I was like, we were all racing in there. You're the only one who's still bitter.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Moving on. AlphaTauri. What I think we were learning from this podcast is don't cross Tiger Assassin.
No.
AlphaTauri, Victor and Cash Stengel. Cash Stengel, another replacement driver, competing on the grid in the freshman series in Silverstone. So Victor started in 15th, finished in 13th. Cass started in 4th, finished 4th on the road as well after Ted's penalties were removed. But now Victor was having a very difficult race, qualified out of position, definitely for him. And then after the safety car, spun at turn 2, Infamela had nowhere to go, massive crash. So it's difficult to grade this one because he did lose the car by himself. There was nothing else there. but it wasn't like it was something horrendously misguided that led to
Yeah.
it. So I think an F.
F. I'll give an F in
Yeah.
the chat.
F in the chat. There we go. Now, Cash Stengel, very, very good drive. Well, he did very well again to
Another academy driver to do well.
Exactly. Outqualified and outraced his teammate, Victor.
A?
Yeah, I think an A.
Yeah.
Simultaneous, yes.
Simultaneous.
Approved.
A. Right, okay. Alfa Romeo, RC8 and Ace of Sabo qualified in 1st and 5th, finished the race in 3rd and 6th. Almost rhymes. Both coming from the back of the pack after the first safety car after a pit stop. RC8 was making massive performance up the order, already into P6 by lap 8. On lap 12 on the safety car, both managed to come back through, but RC8 with some questionable strategies probably could have converted the pole position into a win had he not pitted under the first safety car. So I think from RC8 did
I'll
go
give
back.
RC8 an A-star because I like him.
That's not how this works.
Oh, okay, sorry. I mean, the strategy call was a bit naff. Where did he finish in the end?
3rd.
3rd, okay. I mean, it could be
I think a B. I think a B. Because he has gone.
Sorry, RC8. I would have given you an A-star.
Has gone backwards from his grid position, but still a podium. Ace Sabo again went backwards from the grid position, but both had to come through the field. I think it's a pair of Bs, to be honest.
Pair of Bs?
I mean, they both have
pair of Bs.
We love a pair of Bs.
Yeah, we're not saying the other letter. Red Bull, our final team to get through here. So, if you like the blooper I left in the other episode, then you're welcome. Red Bull, absolute then, our only Red Bull driver on the grid for this race. Qualified in 2nd, finished in 1st. It's an A-star performance again, isn't it, really?
A-star performance, yeah.
So
all the way.
I cannot find any fault with that drive. So it's absolute with another A-star then. I need to write down the names again before I do the next section. I just say, Williams are at the bottom of the standings in every series except one. Renault were at the bottom, and
the Williams of the Superleague.
Yeah, I can't believe you actually said that on stream. I was like, oh, Thunder's gonna be angry.
No, I just said it just to annoy Thunder. Actually, I knew it would wind him up, so I'd say it was funny. Love you, Thunder.
Premier Series, also round 6 at Silverstone this week. We had 10 teams on the grid, represented 10 teams at least, but a few teams with only one driver, which makes our job a little bit easier. So that's always nice. Yes. So it's a Ferrari front row lockout with Aston F1 taking. You know things will go badly when that happens. With Aston F1 taking his first ever pole position in his first ever Premier Series race, so not a bad record to have. Anyway, Natty Speed on the outside, exactly, very good driving. Still, didn't manage to beat the pole position time of Mr. Schumacher. I didn't mention that in the freshman series. They were about 4 or 5 tenths off Mr. Schumacher. But yeah, the Premier Series a little bit closer. It's matter of hundredths, really. Natty sweeping around the outside at Stone to the lead. Pope was out of the race after a collision. Oriole had nowhere to go either. And then Natty with a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Shocking.
Why? How?
What are you doing, Natty?
What were you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Throwing that win away.
It's the 3rd race now. The 3rd race this season.
We want to talk about Australia. That he gets a bit nervous.
He got the Jetsy swipe.
And the Black Country
swipe. Alright, anyway. Kicking off things off then with the Williams team and Guillotine, qualified in 5th, but had a DNF. Held off people at the start, probably faster cars based on previous form. Held up Pope a little bit into Stowe, which is the fast right-hander after the long back straight, the hanger straight, with Absolute going around the outside and going into Pope. But that crash, obviously not Guillotine's fault, but fell to 13th after pitching under the safety car and then crashing by himself at Luffield. Although before that, he did have 2 spins in Sector 2. So I think it started well, but it rapidly went downhill. So I think a E is in order.
E.
An E, yes.
Yeah, I can back an E.
Yeah.
Cool. Not Cash. Sorry, Cash. Cass Nuygens in the Renault qualified 11th. Race DNF. Quiet race, and then manually retired on lap 21. E.
E.
Yeah.
E.
Sorry, guys. E. All right, then.
That's the noise I made when he manually retired. E.
Mercedes. Or Mercedes.
Yes.
Black Country Mush and Gavra himself. Both drivers having a good race until Black Country got caught up in an incident with Aston F1, had a nearly identical crash to Tiger, except the Mercedes didn't end up upside down. Mercedes is better than Haas, confirmed. Mercedes even produces more downforce when upside down than that. Alright, so Black Country Mission Gavra qualified in 13th, and actually disqualification for Gav in his 50th qualifying session. But a DNF for Black Country Mush and points for Gavra in his 50th race.
Nice one, Gav, loving that.
So I think for Black Country, C. It wasn't his fault what had happened.
No, I give him a C. It wasn't his fault. I mean, I know what he feels like in that kind of situation. So,
then
yeah,
Gavra
I back that. Gavra, where did he qualify?
He didn't qualify. He got disqualified and came back to 10th. I think that's an A.
Oh, that's a good race, actually. Yeah, I'd back an A for the boss man.
Yeah, Natty?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
There you go, Gav.
Excellent. Right, Alfa Romeo, Deadly Jason and SFAS 17, my pick for the championship. He's letting me down. Anyway, qualified in 14th and 3rd, finished the race in 9th and 12th. Frustrating race for SF, pitting early on, gave him more tyre wear and then got damaged trying to come back through the field despite being a lot faster than the cars in front. But yeah, first car behind that Ferrari 1-2, but finished outside of the points. I put a rude word, ton of penalties, dropped SF out of the points. And then Jason had a fairly quiet race, managing to sneak home at the end, just in the points there in 9th. So I think for SF has to be a... Well, I'll leave it to you guys, actually. The D, E, that's what I was thinking.
Run through the sort of positions again. So you qualified in...
SF qualified in 3rd and finished in 12th.
Oh, dear God. E?
E, Natty?
E?
Yeah, E.
E?
Okay. Well, I wanted to give him a D, but, general consensus. Deadly Jason started in 14th, came back to 9th. Had no penalties as well.
I have to say, right, something about Deadly Jason, and Evan always points this out. He always has a quiet race. He always stays out of the trouble, and he just slides into the bottom half of the points. Like, when there's always been, like, a big incident, or there's been a few incidents here and there, he's always really quiet, and then he'll sort of get back up into the lower end of the points. Deadly Jason. I thought I'd just put that out there, because Evan always notices it every time in the stream. A B? I can go back a B for Deadly Jason.
Yeah.
Right. Coolio. Now, Haas and Absolute qualified in 8th, finished the race in 3rd. Very solid performance, but not without controversy, definitely. Incident with Pope. So there was just enough room on the inside, and also just enough contact to pitch the AlphaTauri round. But did actually win a 4-way battle for that 3rd position. So it's kind of like fair enough sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think the incident with Pope has to bring it down to a B, but it probably prevents it from being an A or A-star drive. But that B is still, we can't give like pluses or minuses because that would just be too much.
I'd give it B.
I think I'd be but
A
still
B,
did
because
have
you
a
can't
very
you
cool
can't crash into the pub and get away with
race.
unacceptable,
So
really.
the Vatican's
Yeah,
coming now.
it's just not allowed. You know what I mean? It's just...
Right, Jitsi Kev 4th to 1st, overtook Natty on track, A-star. Easy.
A-star, yeah, overtook 90 on track, so it's just instant A-star anyway.
Yeah, right. So yeah, A-star to anyone who overtakes Natty G. Red Bull, Met Boy and Triple O. Met Boy nearly forgot to race. Again.
I remember that.
qualified 9th and 12th, finished the race in 7th and 13th. Dropped to 17th position on lap 1 after receiving front wing damage. I believe that was
Met Boy, I think.
Yeah, it was Met Boy.
It was Met Man.
And then both drivers kind of having quiet races towards the end. Triple O finishing last of the running cars in his Premier Series
get
return.
up into the points, though, did you say?
At one point, I believe so, yeah. But then Triple O kind of slipped back through the fields and Met Boy kind of kept going, kind of thing.
Okay.
So I think B for Met Boy, C for Triple O.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Exactly
or even
my thoughts.
Yeah. Well, the thing is though, we gave Bates a C for staying in the same position, and we're gonna give Triple O a C for going
this
back.
is why I said give them a D, but no.
No, we'll go for a D then. Okay, so Triple O.
This is when I was saying, the system needs to be improved.
You just want to give everybody a G. Like, actually, there's been no G's this week so far. Oh, good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I was tempted to give someone a G this week, but you guys managed to.
No. Ellison did get a G actually. Yeah.
Okay, that's
okay. Cool. So Oriole
no
and
offense
Jetsy
to you, Ellison, but that was a nasty swipe. I could have died.
He couldn't have died. You weren't driving the actual car.
Imagine if it was though.
It doesn't
matter
if you
the
were.
accident
You were.
was.
You couldn't
That
have
just shows
died.
the severity of the accident.
If someone could
Carry on. Sorry, we've gone on a horrible tangent here.
If someone can explain to Tiger that he's not going to die at the hands of his Logitech G29, then that would be greatly appreciated. Moving swiftly on to McLaren, Oriole and Jetsy, your lineup there. That's probably one of the best lineups on the grid in the Premier Series. Oriole started the race in 10th, finished it up in 4th. Jetsy qualified in 6th, finished it down in 8th. So both drivers had a decent start, but Oriole crashing into Pope, but had nowhere to go, putting Pope out of the race. Both cars then had strong races. Unfortunately, Jetsy moving backwards from his grid position. I think penalties also had its part to play. A and C, Natty.
I'd give an A to Oriole and a C to Jetsy.
I can back that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Boom.
A and C. Come on, Tiger. Good stuff there. Good analysis.
Yes.
Alpha Tauri, Bessa and Pope. Bessa qualifying in 17th, and then came back through the grid to 6th. Pope 7th to a DNF. Yeah, I'm gonna get on to Bessa in a sec. Pope got crashed into. I feel like it's a
A and
U.
a D or an E.
I think it's a U. To be honest, he only had three. He only had 3 laps of racing.
U. I know what it feels like, Pope, don't you?
And then
I'll give an A to Bessa.
Yeah, it would be an A, but he picked the wrong car, so a B.
Yeah, B deducted. Sorry, Bessa, but it's a heinous crime.
Pick the right car. Ferrari, Natty G and Aston. Now, Natty, we're going to get on to you in a sec, so don't worry. But Aston, incredible qualifying from Aston. His first ever Premier Series race, and sticks it on pole. Getting to that, but there's a big but here as well. Slight inexperience, maybe in 50% online races, showed that he maybe has a little bit still to learn, and was responsible for the crash of Black Country Mesh. So I think a B is a
B.
Well, I mean, if Ellison
can't take out our boss man.
If Ellison got a G for a similar accident,
no, but.
I still think it's a B because
I think it's because he still had a good performance.
Yeah, that was the only kind of blemish on it, I think. And then, yeah, he still came back through to 5th, so I think a B. But he still has gone backwards from his grid position, but pole position, first race.
I mean, you could either drop him down to a C in terms of making it a bit fairer, in terms of if Ellison got a G. And he has also dropped a grid position, maybe give him a C.
All right, cool. So, Natty qualified second, finished in second. Another solid drive from the points leader.
But give him an A.
Yeah, I'm getting to that. But got caught out by Jitsy's fresher tyres at the end of the race. Went wheel to wheel.
I'd give him a C.
I think you're right with the first time, chance. I'd be good with an A, Natty.
Yeah, it would be up for an A.
Yeah, I would be up for an A.
It's better than last week.
I'd be up for an A.
All right, okay. So Super League round 7. Coming to you from Silverstone, Piero with lead from the start. Lots of battles in the opening stages, all cars from 1st to 12th. The gaps were within a second of each other, so that's not like 1st to 12th in the same second. I mean, like, between each car from 1st to 12th, the gap was less than a second. One of the moments of the season, Jojo Power on lap 3, 3 cars, 1 corner. I mean, me and we'll have a discussion. Let's have a discussion about this now, Tiger.
Firstly, it was Pepelec, qualifying king. Secondly, he was in a Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
And thirdly, he overtook about, it was nearly 4 cars in 1 corner. Got it done in about 2 corners, and Pepelec went round the outside.
Okay, so Jojo is Jojo. He drives in a Haas, the team managed by Gunther Steiner, and he came from so far back, flat out around cops, went to the inside on 2 cars into the same corner into Maggots, and still kept the position round the outside of Beckett's. Better. Period. Next. Right.
Let's think about it here, right? Okay. Yes, they were both brilliant overtakes, right? Okay. But you have to think of the circumstances, right? Pepelec was still in a championship battle at the time, whereas Jojo Power was just racing. So it made the moment more oomph.
It gave it more oomph. I feel like going down the inside of a car at Maggots and then staying on the outside in Beckett's compensates as well.
Yeah, that is pretty insane, to be fair. I can't lie. But we'll have a discussion about this later. We must move on.
All right, cool. So moving on then, straight into the review of the race. Renault, put in brackets the Williams of the Super League. I know Thunder likes to hear that. But anyway, AB Techers and Thunder, your Renault drivers. AB Techers qualifying in 17th, finishing the race up in 15th. Thunder qualifying in 16th, finishing the race in 14th position. Both had quiet races, managed to finish ahead of Before You Die in the battle for the wooden spoon, as I like to call it. But I think from those two, it is going to be a pair of C's.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So C and another C for Thunder. Red Bull, Before You Die. Only Red Bull left on the grid after Tim V was kicked out. Red Before You Die starting in 14th, finishing the race down in 16th. Another quiet race to last position for Before You Die. Last of the running cars. Probably the only thing of note I remember from that race was a collision with Antelope, and he retired from the race at the end. So I think that's going to be a D.
D, can go with that.
Right, so before. Right, Williams, Shankster and Antelope. Shankster 10th to 13th, Antelope 15th to a DNF. Shankster forgot his setup and so had like a huge lack of pace, and I thought did very well to bring it home. Antelope wasn't having a great race and retired in the pit lane on lap 5. So I think it's 2 Ds. McLaren, Holland and Aston. Aston making another appearance, 3 races in 4 days for Aston F1. Holland, though, qualified in 13th, finished the race up in 8th. Aston out-qualified Holland, your freshman league champion, to qualify in 9th, but would finish the race in 10th. Both drivers really on pace. Holland especially was very much on pace in the first part of the race. Both drivers really close together on track as well throughout. Aston again doing really well against his teammate, out qualifying Holland, as I just said, and almost out racing him. So I think from the McLaren perspective, I would give an A to Aston and to Holland.
Can I just say something? I swear last week we didn't give any ratings for replacement drivers.
Yes, but I changed my mind this week.
Of course you did.
I was a bit late now. You have to go back through the entire podcast.
Yeah, sorry, I just realised actually. I won't lie. Just run me through Aston again.
Yeah, okay, hang on. I won't lie. I realised that we don't give points for replacement drivers a bit too late on into this when I was doing the notes. And I was like, fuck it. I said that's what we're doing from now on.
Nice one. Yeah.
You're gonna have to edit that out.
Yeah,
there's edit that one out.
That's why I stopped the clock. Which is at 44 minutes and 56 seconds, by the way. So we're going to have to try and wrap this up quickly if you want to talk about GT Sport.
I'll just do GT Sport. No things for that.
Yeah, I want to give some ratings.
Just pick a top 5 from
that. We've got time. It's all good.
Yeah, I know, but I want it to be over. And this is already going to be over an hour of the recording, but I have a lot of stuff to take out. But I think we've basically got maybe 44 minutes of content already.
That'd be fine. Well, if you hurry up and get your skates on, then we can get the rest of it done.
All right. Okay. Cool. Anyway, so McLaren, pair of A's, Holland and Aston, both very good drives to the positions that they finished in. I think pair of A's.
I'd say that, yeah.
All right. Cool. So Haas, Jojo Power. I think it was just it. No, and Jetsi actually replacing MQD, who's still having problems with his PSN. But Jetsi out-qualified Jojo actually in 11th, but would finish the race in 12th. Jojo qualifying in 12th, but would finish the race in 7th position. Jetsi doing very well to out-qualify his teammate and ran in the points at one stage, but fell back to 12th. I believe penalties also had a role to play in that. Jojo had one hell of a comeback drive, falling to the back after being spun round on lap 1 and managing to come back to the points, keeping it clean on penalties and definitely bagging the move of the race of a triple overtake. From Jojo, for me, A star. Because it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault that he got taken out and still managed to come back. Jetsi, I would give a B. I know he's a replacement driver, but he did have the race the day before and so kind of knew what he was doing in terms of the strategy, but still just managed to finish outside the points. So I'm going to go with B.
B?
Cool. All right. Ferrari, Don Rajib and Mahrez. Don Rajib started in 5th, finished the race in 5th. Mahrez started the race in 3rd, finished the race down in 9th. Went wheel to wheel on the opening part of the race. Mahrez moving up to P4, Don Rajib falling down to 7th, both having decent performances, but mistakes proved costly on the part of both drivers, especially Mahrez. He dropped to 9th after spinning at the final corner. So, Don Rajib had a fairly consistent race, 5th to 5th. In the Superleague, though, definitely no easy feat. So I'm tempted to go for a C.
Go for a C, yeah.
Yeah, and Mahrez, 3rd, fell 6 positions to 9th. Sort of his own undoing sort of thing. So I'm tempted to go for either a D or an E.
I'd go for a D for Mahrez.
I'd go for a D, yeah.
All right, okay, so C and a D. Racing Point, Dan and it's Jax. Dan 8th to 4th, Jax 4th to 1st. We'll get on to Jax in a second. Dan Schneider, excellent performance from him. Kept it clean, kept it consistent, had no penalties by the end of the race, put himself up into 4th. Jax, A star. Just A star. Just beautiful drive, just amazing drive. Amazing drive. I just awesome. All right, so in case you haven't seen it, Jax had a 3-way battle with Piero and Daci for the lead, came out on top, easy A star. Right, so for Dan, I think an A, Jax an A star. Right, so Mercedes, Tim, and I've put me. Tucson. Tim would qualify in 2nd, but would go on to finish in 11th. And I would start in 6th and finish in 6th. I put on here. Oh yeah, that is right. Of course, I can't remember my own races now. Disappointing race in the Mercs this time. Tim was having a good race, so being held up in the pits by Mares on a spin at Chapel Corner. I racked up a few penalties, finishing down in P6 after finishing in P4 on track. But I'll leave it up to you two to decide the grades.
So at him, it was. Where did he qualify? Sorry.
Second.
And then he didn't. He didn't finish the race, did he?
He did finish race in 11th.
Oh, he did. Yeah, he finished. I'm sorry, Tim, but it might have to be something quite low here.
I think based off what we gave Mares for 3rd to 9th, maybe a D or an E for Tim.
D. I get a D or an E.
An E?
E, I can go E, yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
Tim, but it's an E.
And for me?
Straight G. Straight out the park. No, yeah, you moved up positions, didn't you, in the end?
No, I stayed the same. No, stayed the same.
4th to 4th, did you say?
No, 6th to 6th.
6th to 6th, that's pretty bad. No, I'm joking. 6th to 6th? Well, I reckon it's just it's a B or a C. Because I think maybe a C, because we've given everybody else who stayed their same position.
Yeah.
A C. I think a C is respect.
Yeah, all right, cool. Alpha Tauri, our final team to get through then. In the F1 section, Piero and Play Dutch. You're having Piero on next week, actually, for an interview, which may or may not be happening live. So keep you posted about that after this is over. Piero and Play Dutchy then. So Piero qualifying first, but go on to finish in 3rd position. Dutchy qualified in 7th, came through to 2nd. Both drivers' brilliant performances. Unfortunately, Piero racked up more time penalties in the freeway fight for the lead, dropping him back to 3rd by the end of the race, elevating Dutchy to 2nd after Dutchy somehow managed to get extremely lucky with his strategy and coming out ahead of his rivals Tim and the Ferrari of Mares after the pit stops. But don't let that take away from the drive. It's still 7th to 2nd. I've got to go for an A for Dutchy. Yeah. I think for Piero, I'm going to drop it to a B because he did start first and really should have won that race.
Yeah, I'm happy to give him a B.
Yeah?
I can give him a B, yeah.
Has gone backwards from his grid slot as well. So I think a B. But that's going to be our F1 stuff over then for this week. I'm going to hand it over to Natty G now. Well, in a sec even. He's going to take you your GT Sports off. But before that, I'm going to say very much well done to all of the drivers who competed in F1 this week. These ratings are just our opinions, guys, so really don't mean anything. And
prove us wrong.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, and as Tiger always says, prove us wrong. But yeah, I'm going to hand over to Natty now. Just remember, they were all idiots anyway, so it doesn't matter what we think. But yeah, Natty's going to take you through your GT Sports stuff.
It's true, we are just idiots.
So last week was round 4 of the GT Sport League at Alsace Village. And I'll quickly run through the top 3 in quality. It was Play Dutchy. He put it on pole by 5/10. 150.6 was his time. Epic in 2nd, and Tiger qualified in 3rd. But onto the race, Dutchy actually jumped the start, and due to the full start check, fell to the back of the grid, meaning he had to wait for everyone to drive by before he could accelerate. But ignoring the stuff that Dutchy had, Ferky the Viper actually got a really good start. He started down in 9th place and made his way up into 4th by turn 2. So impressive start from him. And meanwhile, there was a monumental battle which continued for about, 10 or 12 laps in the early phases of this race between Epic, Tiger and Toussaint, and I'd highly recommend you go watch it. However, a mistake, though, from Ferky the Viper at turn 11 saw him go too late onto the brakes, into the barrier, and as he rejoined the track, hit the Ferrari of Ifin, who unfortunately hit Dutchy. All 3 of them had big damage, and they all pitted that lap for the repairs. But so it's the comeback drive from Dutchy after jumping the start, picking up the damage that set him to the back of the grid. But moving on to the battle at the top for the lead, almost lasted for about 20 minutes, but Epic went for the undercut and gained 6 seconds on both BCMR teammates of Tiger and Toussaint. Meanwhile, that was happening. Dutchy, though, on the recovery drive, found himself battling the 2 Aston Martins as he went on a charge through the field and was rapidly catching up to your current race leader, Epic. And Woody, though, had another spin. I think that's his third this season in 4 races. Not a record you ideally want to have. And I think he had it down in turn 12. That promoted RNG up into 5th, but with 7 minutes to go, Epic was defending pretty well from Dutchy, who made a really good move round the outside of turn 8. However, Epic was a bit too late on the brakes, similar to what Fergie the Viper done earlier, and lost out to both Tiger and Toussaint on the final podium position. But from jumping the start to having damage on lap 2, Play Dutchy eventually won the race, followed by Toussaint in 2nd, and Tiger wrapped up 3rd place. And in terms of the championship, at the time, Dutchy extended his lead, and I believe Tiger gained a little bit. Well, it's the top 3, Dutchy, Tiger, and Toussaint at the time, were the ones who finished in that order in the race. So kind of making inroads in the midfield, to be fair, but all had a decent run in the championship. And at the time of the race, Dutchy moved his way, extended his lead. Tiger in 2nd, and Toussaint finished in 3rd for the championship. All right, so now on to the ratings after the round 4 in the GT Sports race. We will start with Wolfie team, with Wolfie as a driver, if you hadn't guessed.
Really?
Qualified
Really?
in 8th. Qualified in 8th, and finished the race in 8th. Had a pretty quiet race throughout the majority of the race, and didn't get into any trouble, kept it clean and consistent. It was his first race as a proper driver and not as a replacement. So I think if looking at what results we gave the F1 guys, I think a C maybe.
All right, fair enough. I think
a C, yeah.
Is all right. Next team.
And then moving on to the RNG races, and well, one of the drivers being RNG, Scouting Ninja.
Really?
So moving on to the RNG races, the 2 drivers being RNG and Scouting Ninja qualified in 6th and 10th, and finished the race in 6th and 9th. RNG having a relatively quiet race again, overtook Woody when Woody spun, but then Woody re-overtook him after the pit stops kind of sorted themselves out, and Scouting Ninja, after having a bit of damage on the first lap, recovered 9th, but then Fergie the Viper did retire from the race, so it was the kind of net last place in the race. So I think a pretty consistent and average drive from both of them. I'm thinking maybe a C for RNG.
C, yeah.
C, okay, yeah. Scouting.
And he did make up 1 position, and had a bit of a battle with Wolfie, I think. So
wasn't that only because Fergie left mid-race?
Yeah.
I think it's still a
C or a D for me.
Yeah, C.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you can't score 0 points in this league, so I'll just go with C. Moving on.
So the next team being the Marling Racing team, consisting of Fergie the Viper and iFinn. Fergie qualified in 9th, Finn qualified in 7th. Fergie the Viper had DNF, and Finn finished in 7th, where he qualified. Fergie the Viper did have a good start, though. However, broke too late into turn 11 and got damage from the barrier, and then later DNF'd mid-race. And Finn, another one having quite a quiet race in the midfield, finished where he qualified, but starting with Fergie, I think probably a D or an E, maybe.
I go for a D because he had a good opening part to the race, yeah. D. And then for iFinn?
Finn, probably another C from him.
That's C. Yeah, he finished
C's this week. All right, Dusty Racing.
And the next team, Dusty Racing, Epic, was the only driver in that race. Ted did do quali, but accidentally cancelled his race entry. So quite unfortunate for him. I believe he qualified. Ted. I think Ted qualified in. I think it was 8th.
I think once again, I think we have to give a U to Ted because he just didn't race.
Well, he didn't. Yeah, we can't really give him a grade. He just
I think he has to have a U because he wasn't. He was there, but then he wasn't there.
All right, okay, fair enough. U.
And for Epic, qualied in second, finished the race in fourth. Had obviously that great battle for the lead, but then unfortunately lost it while defending from Dutchy down at turn 11. But overall, it was a pretty decent race from him up until that point.
I think I'm gonna go for a D.
I think a D.
Because he hasn't maintained position.
He's dropped a few positions after qualifying in the top 3. So I think it's a D.
Yeah. All
right, a D for Epic. And then the next team, the BDE, Woody and Dutchy, the 2 drivers. Dutchy qualified on pole, Woody in 5th, and both drivers actually finishing where they qualified in 1st and 5th place. Dutchy had that damage on lap 2 after jumping the start, and then had to make a recovery drive. It was a really good recovery drive from Dutchy. And Woody having a pretty average race, almost caught up for the battle for the lead, but couldn't keep the pace of the front runners, and had another kind of an average race in 5th. Had that spin down at turn 12, but was able to recover back up into 5th. So,
see,
for Woody, I'm tempted to go for a B.
Yeah, it's one of Woody's better performances, really. I think.
Yeah.
Sort of. Yeah, I'd go for a B for Woody because it's one of his better sort of positions, one of his better performances.
And play Dutchy. I'm tempted to give him an. I'm tempted by an A or a B because from that recovery drive.
I think an A because he won the race, but not an A star because he jumped the start.
Yeah, I give him an A because his start was awful.
Well,
his recovery drivers. Yeah, but no, yeah, he jumped it, and then it was just.
And then moving on to the BCMR racing
team,
consisting of you 2, Tiger and Toussaint, qualified in 3rd and 4th. Tiger finishing
Go BCMR.
Tiger finishing the race in 3rd, and Toussaint able to finish in 2nd.
Yes, we did.
And overall, a really exciting battle for the lead, you 2 and Epic.
Of course we were. No doubt about it. I don't know why you'd even question that within your notes.
Overall, a clean race from both of us.
Alright, sorry, Nasty.
Carry on, nice. Sorry.
But starting with Tiger, I think a B.
I think
for
it's
him,
definitely a G performance.
Finishing where he qualified, but I had a really good battle for the lead.
I give myself a G because there was a moment in the race where I should have come in behind Dutchy to pit, and I didn't. So it ultimately it just screwed me over. So
you don't get a G for getting the strategy wrong.
Yeah, no, in my books I do.
Okay.
It was a rookie mistake. No, but in all seriousness, I had an average race, to be fair.
It was a pretty good race. It's still battling for the lead in the opening stages.
What are you gonna give me, guys? I'm intrigued.
I'm fine to go for a B.
Yes,
B,
the BCMR team. B stands for B in CMR.
All right, cool. And then
moving on to Mr. Toussaint's grade. Well, obviously gained 2 positions in that race.
Stole my 2nd place.
Quali.
I was faster.
Come on then. Yeah, I'm that last, didn't you were?
Yeah.
Go BCMR, woo!
I'm tempted by a B or an A.
Oh, I'll leave it up to Tiger.
I mean, if I got given a B and I where did I qualify? What, 2nd?
3rd.
3rd?
Yeah.
And 3rd to 3rd? I got a B.
Third,
that must mean surely you deserve an A. But hang on, we gave Dutch. But hang on, I said an A. If we gave Dutchy an A for that comeback, surely we can't give you an A for moving up 2 positions. I feel like we've done something horribly wrong here.
Well, Dutchy got an A and not an A star because he jumped the start, and that's what brought down his grade to an A.
I'll give you a B plus, like a top of the B.
Pluses or minuses.
That's annoying. Who came up with this stupid system? I'll give you a. I don't know. Natty, help me, please.
B and a half.
You can't give a B and a half. That's the same
Okay, we'll
thing.
get right. Okay, we'll give you an A. Fine.
Okay,
A.
thank
Sorted.
you.
Settled. Finished.
Right, that's done then. So thank you,
Woo!
Tiger and Natty. No matter how useless they are, I do love them really. But yeah, that's going to bring to an end then.
Cheers to
Episode 18 of the Gridslot Gavra Racing podcast. But before we go and do a nice outro, maybe with the music, maybe without the music, we'll wait and see. But yeah, this week we're doing things a little bit different. It's break week this week, so no races apart from GT Sport, which happens on Friday, which gives us the chance to go live and talk to you guys in the chat. We're going to try and go live probably at some point this week, be Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. Most likely we'll be going live on Twitch. Tune in from PlayStation. Ask us some questions. We'll be talking about the stuff that's happened this week at time of recording. So that is everything that happened in Hungary this week, and then GT Sport at Monza, which is an incredible race. I suggest you go and watch it if you haven't already.
I didn't like that race.
Yes, we know you didn't like that race, but that is going to bring to an end then. Episode 18 of the Gridslot Gavra Racing podcast. Thank you to everyone for watching. We're having Piero on in the live episode, hopefully. So if you're looking forward to speaking to Piero as well, we'll have some fan questions also that you can ask Piero. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching or listening, wherever you are in the world. And we're going to see you next week, guys.